talking about like having an outsider come in and cause havoc on a business, either destroy or ransomware. What if it was on the inside? If an employer hired the wrong, person that maybe had like a vengeance against the company, or when they leave, or they wanted to steal a lot of stuff to take with them, or they just generally just a bad, wrong person. What advice would you give for that?
The first is don't share accounts. I see it happen so often, especially in small businesses, and I get it. Money is a huge consideration, and lots of these kind of specialist applications, they're expensive, and so you see time and time again, there's 3 or 4 users of a particular product or service, all using the same account and password. So by sharing accounts, you've kind of got no audit of what's happened, who's done what, because and again, this is all after the event, but was it Bob, was it Sue, was it Rita, what's going on?
Some log though, don't they? Device logs.
Yes, but if you're using the same account, so if you're all using the same account,
wouldn't it be assigned to an IP though? If you
it depends how forensic you want to go to it. Certainly, if you are using a system like Foxtech Defend, which is where we suck up all the system logs, certainly you can get down to forensic levels. But for the most part, what you want to be able to do is to kill the account, right? So you don't want the malicious actor doing anything, after he's left, or even when he's under suspicion. Having your own accounts is really important, because then you've got control. You can also usually, on most of these platforms, you can control who does what. So therefore, a really common setting would be that the boss has admin rights and can export files, export data, delete data, edit data, but employee only has the ability to load things onto the system, or to create files, or to create anything, but they can't take anything away. But again, you can only really do that if everyone has their own individual accounts. So it's an important part of the jigsaw, and like anything, it is a jigsaw. There's lots of pieces. So that'll be the first. I think the second advice is, and again for lots of people it seems over the top if you're a small business, but you carry out your due diligence, do your background, do your research, carry out
what kind of
checks.
Background and
so we use it's called BPSS, which is baseline personnel stuff. I can't remember what the S stands for, and basically that checks are they who they say they are? Check 1. Do they have any criminal record? And where have they worked for the last 3 years? And is there a break of more than, I think it's 12 months in 5 years? It's just another basic check. And we all our staff are BPSS, and it costs around about £100. Well, look at the cost of employing someone, right? It's a horrible, expensive, and complicated
so many people don't even know if that's even a thing.
And I think it's absolutely, and I think just like all the other things we've talked about, no one thing is going to stop anything happening. But by kind of layering on all these checks, you're mitigating every step of the way. And the more layers that you have, the less likely.
Less target. What about business identity fraud?
It is, again, it's a real issue. There are lots of things you can do, and I'm going to try not get geeky, but
keep it simplistic. So what would be the reasons why and how someone would, say like there's a super cool record label, and someone just basically they fancy themselves as being like at the top of the industry. They want to either manage loads of artists, or they want their own label, but they don't really want to work for it. They'd rather just copy what is already potentially out there, and and replicate it or act as if.
So the act as if is the big one.
And take their clients and pretend that they're them.
Yeah. So one of the really common ones is impersonating email, right? And so you can send an email from boss at Big Co to someone else that potentially are a client of Big Co with any kind of malicious information, and to the recipient it just looks like it came from Bob at Big Co. And there's lots of things you can do to protect yourself from that, but the most important is a thing called DMARC, D-M-A-R-C, and it's completely free. It's completely free, costs nothing, and it is a simple DNS update, but there's lots of applications out there that will do it for you for free. And what that does is it verifies that when you receive an email, it has actually come from Bob at Big Co, as opposed to hacker at Small Town.
And so
and it's free.
What's it called?
DMARC, D-M-A-R-C. And Google it. Lots of sites out there that'll do it. If you're unsure, phone a specialist IT cybersecurity company like Foxtech. We're not going to charge anything for advice.
So what would you say are the key takeaways, top 3 things, clients in my network, my industry, like film, music, media, what would be the top 3 takeaway things that you would want them to know?
So I think the first thing is recognizing everything that you're doing now is digital, and therefore your risk of exposure is much higher. So my takeaways with that in mind, the first is sort out your passwords. Please use different passwords for different systems. Use 3 random words, make them nice and long. But I think everyone's familiar with multi-factor authentication, and nearly every platform out there now supports MFA. Use it. We've got a product called CyberRisk. We won't charge anyone in the community to use it, and find out what your exposure is, because unless you know what the problems are, how do you know what to do to address them? And I think the third point, and we've kind of implicitly talked about it a lot today, but us humans are rubbish, right? We are terrible at cybersecurity. Stop and think. So if you receive an email just before you click, and some of the phishing emails, they are super good. I work with literally the best in the world, and there's times that they're looking going, is it? Isn't it?
Sometimes it's literally only one letter they change in it,
because they're right. Goes back to their business. Right? They invest, and they invest in creating really good phishing emails. It comes on to user training.
And training the staff. Because
absolutely.
You could be, up on cybersecurity, but they look for the weakest link.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That could be one of the staff members.
And we've seen it before where there's a slightly larger company, but it's social engineering, right? Social engineering is huge in cybersecurity, and it's not uncommon that hacker they've discovered through socials, through LinkedIn, through wherever that I'm going to pick it Bob at Big Co again, but they know Bob's name, and they know what his role is, and they probably know where he works, as in what city, and therefore they can work out what city. They can probably work out the address of the office that he's at, and they will phone up the IT help desk of that organisation, saying, "Hi, I'm Bob from Big Co. I've forgotten my password again. Couldn't just remind me, could you?" And tell me again your name, and then they'll try to gather information. But the hacker's already researched it. He already knows the answers. He already pretty well knows what he's going to get asked. And it happens. The people working in IT, or the organisation's IT provider, they're all human. Everyone's fallible, and passwords get given out. It is summarise your passwords and multi-factor authentication. There is user training, understanding what risks are, what processes are. And any small business, talking of processes, one of the things we didn't talk about is cyber essentials. And there's maybe a whole other discussion to be had there at another date. But cyber essentials is kind of the baseline foundation of security that the UK government recommends for any business. And it's all massively achievable for the vast majority. And their big kind of statement is, it will prevent you from 80% of problems 80% of the time. And so, why would you not want to do that?
And what would you say are the top 5 cyber essentials?
So there's a whole framework around that, and there are several controls in place, but they focus on technical controls. So patching. So if you've got any kind of IT estate, keep it patching. Remember what I said before about new vulnerabilities released every single day? Well, if your product's affected by that, you want to be patching it. And Cyber Essentials says that any application should be patched within 14 days of the patch being made available, or any high severity patch anyway. So patching the products, user training, and then this also a large focus about the kind of processes and the procedures to protect defense in depth. So that is having passwords, having multi-factor authentication, having firewalls. So you've got a whole layer of security.
And that's important, building layers. Sometimes just having Malwarebytes or Avast or any others that you can choose out there, is that enough for a business? I don't know if it is it?
So, this gets me onto one of my rants.
You can get fake ones as well that look like that they're not actually.
Yeah, well, so this gets onto one of my kind of big industry rants. So we're all kind of familiar with greenwashing, right? Over the last 20 years, various organisations, large oil companies, putting pictures of forests and Everglades and ocean and fish and all these beautiful kind of green images, when in reality they're probably the most damaging industry to the planet. Well, I often use the term cyber washing, right? Where you have products that claim, install me, and
you'll never have a problem in your life.
It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
And so the analogy that I often use is with cars, right? So you can have a product, and it might be a really, really good product, right? I can think about that as like a Mondeo, right? Nothing wrong with a Mondeo. It's the most popular car in the UK for years and years and years and years. And it was very good at what it did. But if you think about securing your business, you need more than the Mondeo. A vehicle's got lots of different uses. So you might want the sports car, you might want a Ferrari, you might want a lorry because you're moving lots of big loads. You might want a off-roader because you like driving through fields or whatever. You've got lots of different cars for lots of different uses. It's the same with cybersecurity. You need lots of different tools to cover lots of different scenarios. But then the important thing is you can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't have the skill and expertise to drive them, then they're almost meaningless. And so obviously the thing, they're all great cars, but if my granny was to go and drive the Ferrari, it's still only going to go 5 miles an hour, right? But if you get the Stig to drive the Ferrari, right, he's going to break records with it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with cybersecurity. We often go into a business and say, yeah, but we've got product A, B, and C. We're fine, and it takes us minutes to find a whole ton of vulnerabilities because they've not been set up and not configured correctly. And then the other thing that tends to be a big consequence of having these tools, whether it's the Mondeo, whether you've got lots of different tools, is what we call alert fatigue. So you know, we've all seen it in different things that, you know, you keep getting badgered that, you know, update is available, or this has happened, or that's happened, and eventually, because it just keeps coming up, and you don't really quite know what it means. I'm just going to ignore that because I'm trying to do this thing over here, and this thing is, and then things get missed. And so that's where getting kind of outside help is really important. And so when we protect a client, you know, we have over 20 different products that we use in protecting the client. It's all seamless to the client. They've no idea, but we're using 20 different tools to protect them. We've got over 3,000 different threat intelligence feeds. And so we amalgamate all that to properly protect our clients.
Which helps from again the outside perspective, as long as you don't have an inside threat.
Yes. Well,
because if you have an inside threat,
but even then, the sorts of services that we have is, and you know, we're not alone in this, but because we monitor everything, as I say, it's trillions of logs a day, that if suspicious things are happening, doesn't matter if that's from the inside or coming from the outside, we can detect that. Now, there's
like multiple downloads.
Yeah.
Contact list.
Or large export files.
Yeah.
You know, and while, you know, I could never sit here and say, you know, we guarantee we'll catch everything. That's unrealistic, right? But the thing is, it's not just one thing that happens. There's usually a whole trail of things that happens, and all we have to do, but we just have to find one of those, and then if you like, that thread begins of researching. And if it's on average 207 days, well, you've got time to do something about it.
So a lot of companies are now implementing AI.
Yep.
To learn your usual behavior and what's normal, and then it flags up with what isn't. So what's your thoughts on use of AI software?
I like to swear. Bullshit.
Really?
Right? So, and the reason I say that is, so behavior is all about perception, right? And and I forget the name of the original guy that came up with the theory, but Hitchcock did a brilliant explanation of context. And there is a picture of Hitchcock, and he's just standing poker faced. And then it cuts to a picture of a woman with a toddler, and they're playing in the park, having fun. Goes back to Hitchcock. Hitchcock raises a small smile. A little smile. And the image that you receive, the perception you get, is that it's a wholesome, loving guy, and he's getting pleasure just from the joys of living and family life. They then run the same clip of Hitchcock poker faced. This time it turns to a young girl in a bikini, and then goes back to Hitchcock, and he gives her a wry smile, the same wry smile that he gave last time, same one. But this time you think he's a dirty old man. Right? Now maybe he was a dirty old man, but that's a different thing. And therefore, context and perception is everything. And in cybersecurity, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So no behavior can truly be analyzed. And you know, so the example I give you, if there is large transfer of data on a Wednesday, right? An automated tool using how go, that's a breach. We're going to stop that. And that's great, but actually that's Wendy from accounts doing the upload for payroll on a Wednesday, and it happens every Wednesday. And so now no one's getting paid, right? And so it's understanding the context of the business is critically important. And hey, and AI is good, and it does a whole pile of heavy lifting. The one of the other examples I often give is Rory Sutherland's doorman fallacy. So in the 1920s, lots of hotels, the technology came for kind of automatic revolving doors and opening doors. And so a bunch of hotels quickly, oh, I can get rid of all the doormen and do that. That's great. Save myself a fortune. I might have to invest heavily up front, but hey, I now don't have to pay, because this is 24/7, so it might be 3 doormen that they can save on. And within months, all the doormen were coming back. Because what the hotels didn't realise is no one cares about opening the door themselves or not. What they really wanted the doorman for was, where's the best place to go and get a meal tonight? Where can I get a taxi? Stopping the drunk line on the entrance to the hotel. And so while the electronic doors does the heavy lifting, just like AI can do lots of heavy lifting in IT and cybersecurity, and I can give you an example where we've used AI to that effect, it can't replace the human element. And so therefore, I think the human element will always remain. And just like, ChatGPT, it's a brilliant, brilliant tool. I mean, I use it all the time, love it. But I don't think it will ever completely replace the human element.